It was a cold Friday evening, and the first hints of winter had settled over the neighborhood. I was sitting by the living room window, sipping a steaming cup of coffee, when I noticed Emily, my wife, arriving home later than usual. She stepped out of her car with a smile on her face, a kind of radiant joy I hadn't seen in years. She was on the phone, laughing softly, her breath visible in the chilly air. It was a scene that should have brought me comfort, but instead it left a knot in my stomach. Something didn't feel right. Emily and I had been married for almost a decade. We'd met in our mid-20s and built a life together, a modest house, stable careers, and a shared dream of traveling the world one day. But recently, things had changed. The connection we once had seemed to be slipping through my fingers. Her smiles were no longer for me, and the way she clutched her phone as if it were her lifeline made me wonder what secret she was hiding. "Hey," I said as she walked through the door. "You're late." "Work ran over," she replied casually, slipping off her coat. Her tone was light, almost dismissive, but I caught the faintest hesitation in her voice. "Everything okay?" I asked, watching her closely. "Yeah, just a long day," she said, flashing me a quick smile before heading into the kitchen. I wanted to believe her, but the nagging doubt in my mind wouldn't let me. For weeks, I noticed subtle changes in her behavior late nights, unexplained. Absences, and that damn phone she never let out of her sight. I brushed it off at first, telling myself I was being paranoid, but deep down, I knew there was more to it. That night, as Emily slept beside me, I lay awake staring at the ceiling. The questions in my mind refused to settle. Who was she laughing with? Why did she seem so distant? Why did I feel like a stranger in my own marriage? I decided then and there that I needed answers, but I wasn't going to confront her outright, not yet. Over the next few days, I started paying closer attention. I noticed the way she tilted her phone away when I walked into the room, the sudden work dinners she had mentioned, and the perfume she'd started wearing again, the same one she wore when we first started dating. Each small detail added fuel to the fire of my suspicions. One evening, while she was in the shower, I did something I'd never done before. I picked up her phone. My hands were trembling as I unlocked it, praying I wouldn't find anything. But as I scrolled through her messages, my worst fears were confirmed. There, in a chat with someone named D, were messages that shattered my world. "I can't wait to see you again." One read. "Last night was amazing," said another. I felt a wave of nausea wash over me. My hands tightened around the phone as I read through the messages, each one a dagger to my heart. The man she'd been texting wasn't just a coworker or a friend. He was something more, something I couldn't compete with. I put the phone back where I found it, my mind racing. I wanted to confront her, to demand answers, but I knew I needed more. If she was going to lie to me, I needed to be prepared. The next day I hired a private investigator. Even invasive, but I couldn't live with the uncertainty any longer. Within a week, the pie came back with everything I needed: photos, timestamps, locations. Emily wasn't just working late or having dinner with colleagues. She was meeting him Daniel at a hotel on the other side of town. The photos showed them laughing, holding hands, and entering the building together. That night, I sat alone in the living room, staring at the evidence. Anger, betrayal, sadness. It all hit me at once. But amidst the chaos of my emotions, a sense of clarity emerged. I realized I couldn't stay in this marriage. Emily had made her choice, and now it was time for me to make mine. The following week, I began preparing for my departure. I opened a new bank account, transferred half of our savings, and found a small apartment across town. I packed my things slowly, taking only what I needed and leaving behind the memories that no longer brought me joy. I wanted to walk away with my dignity intact, and I wasn't going to give her the satisfaction of a fight. One evening, while Emily was out, I left. I wrote a simple note and placed it on the kitchen counter. "Emily, I know about Daniel. I know about the lies and the betrayal. I'm leaving because I deserve better. Don't contact me. This is goodbye." As I closed the door behind me, I felt a strange mix of sadness and relief. The life I thought I had was over, but a new one was just beginning. In the weeks that followed, Emily tried to reach out. She called, texted, and even came to my new apartment once. But I didn't answer. I'd said everything I needed to say in that note. Her apologies and excuses didn't matter anymore. I was done with the lies, the betrayal, and the heartbreak. I threw myself into rebuilding my life. I focused on work, reconnected with old friends, and even started therapy to process the pain. It wasn't easy, but with each passing day, I felt stronger. For the first time in years, I felt like myself again. Months later, I received a letter from Emily. It was long and filled with regret. She admitted to everything, apologized for taking me for granted, and begged for another chance, she wrote, about how she'd let herself get swept up in something meaningless, how she missed me, and how she'd do anything to fix things. I read the letter once, then folded it and put it away. Forgiveness was one thing, but going back was another. I'd spent too long living in the shadow of her lies, and I wasn't about to lose myself again. Looking back, I realized that leaving Emily wasn't just about escaping her betrayal. It was about reclaiming my dignity, my happiness, and my sense of self. And for that, I'll always be grateful not to her, but to myself, for having the courage to walk away when it mattered most.